You can all think about the head size of the elephant head and a child. But then the Prime Minister says they were able to do plastic surgery then. In Tamil, there's a saying, Kattrathu kaimannalavu, kalladadu kadalalavu. What you've learned fits your palm. What you don't know is as big as the oceans. எலும்பு தோல்ல வந்து இலக்கம் இட்டிருக்குதோ ஜாதிங்கிற இலக்கு. அதாவது it means that is your skin and bone imprinted with your caste. What is caste? When 98% of your DNA is shared with the chimpanzees, what meaning does race or caste have? Even when it was God and believers of God had the guts to question God. You know, in today's circumstances, when your Prime Minister goes to a conference of doctors, especially they are specialists in surgery, and he says that we had plastic surgery in the Vedic ages. Plastic surgery in the Vedic ages because when Shiva cut away the neck of Parvati's first child, Shiva replaced it with the head of an elephant. You can all think about the head size of the elephant head and a child. But then the Prime Minister says they were able to do plastic surgery then. And two professionals who actually, worked for 100 years in a span of 15 years to become what they are. That is what the medical profession demands. And then once in Parliament, when there was a debate going on, one of the senior members, and sorry to say, I think he's from the IPS or the IAS cadre, and please nobody get insulted. He got up and said that we've all descended from the rishis. Theory of evolution is wrong. We actually descended from the rishis. Then I got up and I said, you might have descended from the rishis, but we are sadly Sudras. We descended only from the monkeys. So after listening to all this, then when they called me for this science fest, then I decided, not as a scientist or not as a person who's an expert on science, but as a citizen of this country, I have a duty to be here. Because you hear such things. And the Constitution, Article 51A of the Constitution says, it is a duty of every citizen to ensure and spread scientific temper in this country. But unfortunately, this country is moving away as far as possible from the scientific temper. This country today is going back to the textbooks and removing the theory of evolution from it. Today, this country is tampering with the syllabus. Today, this country is changing science into mythology and mythology into science. So it is time that all of us talk, all of us with opinions, all of us who want to see a change, and all of us who believe in scientific temperament and social justice have to speak. Science is the way nature speaks to us, the way nature communicates with us. And the beauty of science is it's not stagnant, and it humbles you. It is much beyond what you can decipher, what you can understand. I think the greatest lesson we were taught recently was the COVID pandemic. Because Humanity was at one point where we thought we had discovered, of course, not for the common cold, we haven't found how to resolve that virus, but other than that, nearly everything, every disease we had conquered, and science was artificial intelligence, and science was peaking, and there was nothing the human race could not achieve. And then comes the pandemic. And it shows us how small we are. It shows us how helpless science, humanity, doctors, research is in front of nature. It humbles us. And this is what our philosophers, our poets have always been talking about. In Tamil, there's a saying, Kattrathu kaimannalavu, kalladadu kadalalavu. What you've learned fits your palm. What you don't know is as big as the oceans. So, the COVID, and now the climate change, it's teaching us lessons, unfortunately, which we are refusing to learn. People lived with nature, people loved nature. You talk about the Sangam poems. They worshipped nature, they lived with nature. Their life was part and parcel of nature. But today, our lifestyle has become something which destroys nature, which takes away from nature, which is ensuring that nature has no part in our lives. I mean, just not Kerala. Recently in Tamil Nadu, in Chennai, in my own constituency, we've never heard, have you ever heard of a storm suddenly deciding to stop in a city? You know, like it's just getting, waiting to have a coffee and then continue its journey. It stopped in Chennai. It slowed down in Chennai. And nobody knows why. Same thing in Thoothukudi. We are a water, rain-starved district. In one day, we had rains of 93 centimeters. And I don't think, I'm sure you all know, that this is not going to be a one-time thing. Not here, not in Tamil Nadu, not in Kerala, not in any part of the world. But we do not understand the lessons nature wants to teach us through science, through poetry, through philosophy, because one does not exist without the other. Rachel Carson says science is a way of looking at the world with a child's wonder and a poet's eye. We wonder at everything around us. And that is what makes science what it is. If you do not have questions, you do not have why, how, nothing would have been discovered. If people did not ask these questions, if people did not want to find solutions, if people did not say, I am not going to accept this, I'm going to change this. If people did not say, is there a different way of doing it better? And if people did not say, why should I accept this? Nothing would have changed in this world. We can talk about social justice, we can talk about science, we can talk about philosophy, we can talk about humanity, you can talk about democracy, you can talk about anything in this world. There is no change when we do not ask these questions. And I think art, culture, poetry are the spaces where these questions are first asked. A poet might not ask questions in a scientific way. There's my favorite Siddhar. There's a tradition of Siddhar poetry in Tamil. And I think they lived from 2000 to 1000 years ago. And one of my favorite Siddhas is Sivavakyar. Nearly 2000 years ago, he asks, எலும்பு தோல்ல வந்து இலக்கம் இட்டிருக்குதோ ஜாதிங்கிற இலக்கு. அதாவது it means that is your skin and bone imprinted with your caste. What is caste? It is meaningless. Many of his poems question the food. Today, we are stamped as something because we eat a particular kind of food, we wear a particular kind of clothes. But 2000 years ago, our poets from this country questioned that. He said, what is wrong in eating meat? You're talking about Veda. When you're sick, will Vedas come and help you? It's another human being who has to come and help you. So these questions were asked by our poets, by our thinkers. And today, science is answering it. And one of his poems, he asks, what is the difference between what comes between the dog and me? Today, science says that we are, of course, we are closer to I think we share 90% of our DNA with the cats and slightly less than that with the dogs. And of course, with the chimpanzees, 98% of our DNA is shared with the chimpanzees. So, when 98% of your DNA is shared with the chimpanzees, what meaning does race or caste have? Don't you think it's a big joke? When we talk about, I belong to this particular caste, my daughter cannot get married, my son cannot get married, I'll kill them if they break these traditions and get married. You are related to the dog, the cat, the chimpanzee. And what right do you have to talk about caste system, to talk about race? These questions have been, this is the tradition of India. These questions are the tradition of India. This is what India is. It always questioned. It questioned through our art, it questioned through our poetry, it questioned through our literature. We never accepted. Even when it was God and believers of God had the guts to question God. And our tradition always celebrated God as a friend. Our tradition celebrated God as a lover, as a husband. And some of Bharatiyar's poems call Krishna as his slave, his worker. Kannan en sevagan. But these questions, this joy, this celebration of nature, of the world, of our religion, today has been taken away from us. And we should understand, without science, we will not be sitting here today unless the buses came. The caste system in villages, in rural India, even in cities, couldn't have been broken. Unless cinema came. When you go to the theater, when you buy tickets, you cannot decide who sits next to you. In the bus, yes, there were times even that had to be faced. But slowly, when the buses came, when science came, that changed. In the cinema halls, in the cinema theaters, you could not say, I won't sit next to you, I will not. What is your caste? What is your community? Which religion do you belong to? So that changed. So all the human aspirations, all the dreams, whether it's a dream of leaders like, philosophers like Ayyankali or Periyar, today we are able to fulfill it. Today we are able to see it becoming part of our lives. Today it has changed lives, is because science has helped us. Science has stood by us. Science has taken us to where we are and where should be.